In the case that you missed it, we just want to let you know that Bartender at Large has teamed up with Mover and Shaker Co., the premier provider of spirited barware and apparel. So you can now get your Bartender at Large tees and snapbacks along with your favorite cocktail attire, all in one location. In addition, we even launched a limited edition collab t-shirt, sweatshirt, and zip-up hoodie that are available for purchase today. And not only will the designs have you looking fresh AF, but they are also screen printed by hand on premium 100% cotton tees, which means they are handcrafted just like your favorite cocktail. To order, head on over to moverandshakerco.com/collections/bartender at large. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to Bartender at Large, a show about bartending, booze, and everything between. I'm your host, Eric Castro, and as usual, I'm joined by some of the biggest names in the industry. With me today, coming from Hong Kong, bartender and co-founder at Koa, Jay Khan. Jay, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, Eric. It's been so long, man. How are you?
It's been way too long, man. What was it? When we were hanging out in Hong Kong, what, 2017?
I think before that.
Oh, man. I'm way past due for a trip.
Yeah, man. It's been so long. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, hanging in there. It's like this last year's been crazy. It's been a roller coaster ride, But now I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or at least I'm starting to feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's like, I'm in a way better place than I was last summer. Let me tell you that. How about you?
That's great, brother. That's great. Hong Kong is the same, man. I guess everywhere, because of what's happening recently, and it's been up and down. Mm-hmm. But for now, I think the bars are, back open for a while, and hopefully this continues.
That's amazing to hear. That's great news. That's great news. Anyway, I want to talk to you about Koa, the bar you co-founded. And also, by the way, congratulations. It was just named #1 in Asia's 50 best bars. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. It's a big honor. Thank you so much.
That's incredible. The news just came out, I think, in May? About 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, exactly. In May, yeah.
So tell me, how did you and your staff celebrate?
Man, we didn't really celebrate. That's a good question, actually. We went out to just a lunch, before service one day, and that's it. To be honest, like the team that I have, including myself, like we don't really go out and drink. So for us, celebration is just having, gathering together and have a lunch, and dinner we can't do because we're always in the service. So
yeah, I know what you mean.
That's what we did. Yeah.
And you can't do it on one night or else some of the staff doesn't get to go. So yeah, I know what you mean. Lunch seems to be like the best thing to do.
Yeah, it's the best thing, like you wake up from the previous night service and then you're fresh, and then we just went to one of the restaurants that was nearby the bar, and that's it. It was on our list and we're like, let's check it out, and we just went there. Didn't really have any big celebration, to be honest.
Plus, let's be honest, if you're all are going out for lunch, it's a little easier to make sure that nobody makes a fool of themselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a little earlier. Absolutely. Some people might have a drink, maybe two, and then they got to go home, get ready for work. Yeah. So, it keeps everybody on an even keel.
Yeah. No alcohol. We just had a civilized lunch,
I can respect that. Very classy. Very classy. I want to talk to you about the bar, and I'm telling you, man, as someone of Mexican descent myself, it makes me very happy to see what y'all are doing out in Hong Kong, because I feel in a way, a lot of what y'all are doing out there is very important. Essentially, you are all ambassadors of Mexican culture, because you're running a venue that caters to the locals in Hong Kong, folks in Hong Kong who love good drink, but you're serving Mexican food and cocktails. And I just think that's amazing. That's beautiful to me.
Yes, brother. Agave spirits, it's a misunderstood category in most part of the world. Mm-hmm. And Hong Kong, being so far from Mexico, and all the guests in Hong Kong knows about tequila. It's all about, the bad stuff. So the idea behind opening Koa was to always reintroduce agave spirits back to our guests. And we're just taking, baby steps and, basically sharing what we love about the spirit. And we're also doing charity events called Mezcal Mission. And that's something we do on Mondays bi-weekly. which is 100% charity. So whatever
Wow.
money we get from the event, we basically donate to Habitat for Humanity. That's the charity we're working with right now. And the idea behind this is to introduce, basically agave spirits to the guest. And it's a 2-hour session where we sit down, have a nice chat with the guest. We have a presentation mostly with pictures and videos. So the guest understands, how agave spirits are made, where they're from, and so on.
And are people receptive to it? Are they digging it?
Yeah, man, they love it, to be honest. It was a tough first year for us because we weren't like part of a big company or anything. We're a standalone bar. And when we opened, and like how people introduced us was, oh, there's a new tequila bar in the block, go check out. Most people are like, tequila is not for me. And so it became really difficult to get the people in at first. But eventually, through word of mouth, we have a really good support from within the industry as well. A lot of the bartenders actually, introduced our bar to their guests, and eventually, slowly we get out of it. And it was not until like a year and a half later that we start, actually breaking even for the month, just for the month, man. But we were losing, quite a bit, but mostly, a bit every month. But we hang in there, we knew there's a lot of potential. We just have to make sure that we continue what we're doing. And then eventually got us to where we are. I mean, now the business is really consistent, and we're not worried about not having enough people at night. So yeah, we're blessed now. But yeah, it was a journey for us.
I gotta commend y'all for that, because what y'all did was you created something that was offering something that nobody else was. There's a courage to that. There's a bravery to that, and you stuck to it. And I'm sure there were points when people were coming in and telling you like, oh, y'all are crazy. What you guys need to start doing is just selling vodka cocktails and focusing on other spirits and compromise what you're doing. But you stuck to the plan. You stuck to the script. And eventually people caught up.
In the beginning, a lot of my friends, like close friends and family members, they were skeptical. I mean, they were like, why are you, doing this? You could do other things, like maybe open a gin bar or a whiskey bar, it's a bit more approachable. But that was not the point. I mean, I want to do something which I feel like there's a challenge, and also something I personally love. And agave spirit, it is my favorite. And I just want to share, what I know about the spirit with the guests locally and see where it takes me. We didn't have big plans, opening Koa. It was meant to be, like a bar where you could chill and learn something different. Yeah. And like I said, it was a journey, but it's a blessing right now. We're in a very good position right now. And hopefully we don't take anything for granted and just do what we're doing.
So what advice would you have for anybody out there who wanted to open a bar that I guess was centered around one spirit, and people were telling them they were crazy? No matter where they are in the world, what advice would you have for them?
I think the first thing is to first find your niche, right? Like find something that you personally believe in and you like. And after that, I think what you have to do is, spend a lot of time learning about the product, researching about the product. And once you're confident that you know about it, then you can go and open a bar. I mean, I don't know the market in the US, but in Hong Kong, I believe that if you have execution for any concept, I think in Hong Kong, it will work. In Hong Kong, it's all about buzz, right? Like once you have something going on, people want to come and check out. And before we were announced, winning awards or anything like that, it was tough for us. But once we along the way, when we start winning, like some awards, it drove a lot of guests to come in.
That's cool.
But then it was our job to make sure that they have a great time and they come in because they like the place. So, like I said, first find your niche. That's very important. Find something that you really like. And when you do open a bar with that concept, I think there will be a lot of hurdles along the way, but you shouldn't give up. And that's how I learned, like, to be honest, the situation we were in the first few months, we were already thinking like, can we survive this? Can we survive 2 years in Hong Kong? Hong Kong is expensive. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world, and the rent is massive. The labor cost is massive, and 100% tax on spirits. Mezcal and tequila in Hong Kong are not cheap. Plus, on top of that, people have a misunderstanding about these products and how are you going to sell it? So our margins on, agave spirit is very, very small. but again, in the end of the day, we're not here to make big money. As long as we could sustain the business, as long as we could, break even, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, exactly, man. It's been an interesting journey for me, and I would anytime, if you ask me, if I could rewind my time, if I would do the same, I would.
And then looking at this from the outside, how large of a role did staff education play in this? Because I can imagine it's really tough to sell this to people who don't necessarily have the historical context of it, the cultural context as well, unless the staff was super passionate about it.
Yeah, man, we're lucky because, like the size of our bar is actually not very big. We could sit around 40 guests. It's a pretty okay size for what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And how we run the bar is we don't differentiate between, bartenders and having floor staff. We're basically all doing the same thing, and we rotate. This way, it really helps whoever, let's say a guest sitting at the bar or sitting, on a table outside. They all have the same experience. The way we train our staff, we're all training them equally. So everyone is on the same page. If you come to COA, if you talk to any one of us, for example, even the staff that's working on the floor, they will have the same amount of knowledge as the bartender working behind the bar. And this is how we've been doing since day one. And we rotate everyone on a weekly basis. Even the bartender has to do the job, of a receptionist, standing at the reception. And also we basically make our own snacks, so we also do the cooking ourselves. Mm-hmm. So everything is done by ourselves, and which is amazing because this way we really have a really good bonding and understanding of, the business and with each other as well. And most of the work that we do is through on the job training. Mm-hmm. But for any new staff that comes in, of course, we spend a lot of time educating them on the basics and stuff. And after that, we basically have them, learn through the job. And I'm very lucky to have the team that I have right now, to be honest, because they're amazing. And I have 100% confidence in them. Whenever there are guests asking about agave spirits and everything, they're on it. And of course, it takes time. The longer the team stays with you, the stronger it gets. So my goal is to make sure that they stay with me as long as they can.
And what's your secret to getting them to stay?
Man, it's just putting yourself, in their shoe and think about when you were a bartender, what was the thing that you actually wanted, right? I mean, all along, I think we all need, new challenges, learning new things along the way. And although we specialize in agave spirits, we don't just stop there. I mean, there's so many other things that we all need to learn. And we always, introduce, trainings and other things like events. For example, the mezcal mission that I'm doing right now, you need to speak to 30 people in the room. And this is an experience for my staff, having them actually present that presentation in front of, different people. That's a learning experience as well for them as well. So in the end of the day, we want to groom them, to be an all-rounders, to know everything about the business. So one day, if they are deciding to open their own bar, they're ready, they're confident. So this is one of the benefits of working at COA because it's a small bar and we get to learn the business in and out. And we don't need to get approvals from other people. I mean, everything goes through me. So in the end of the day, it makes the job a lot easier. Everything is approved by, the person working in the bar. They come up with ideas, and we listen to their ideas. And if the idea makes sense, we implement it, and everybody gets credit, doing it as well. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's to make sure that they're part of the team and make sure that, they're part of the business. They're not just an employee.
I think you made some really good points there. And here, I'm going to expound on that a minute.
Sure.
Because one thing I think that people forget is in their mind, they think oh, I want to create a bar. I want to create a workspace that attracts talent, that gets people, good people, to want to come and work with us. Mm. But what's the opposite of that? People forget that there's an opposite of that. And there's a lot of people out there who are inadvertently creating work environments that repel talent. They're creating places that people don't want to work.
We're actually the complete opposite.
That's what I mean.
We're complete opposite. The staff that we hire mostly are inexperienced, or they have just a bit of experience, and that's not important to us. And the experience is not important to us. What's more important is whether they have the right approach and attitude. And that's, to me, is the most important. Like the staff that I hire, I want them to be talkative in the first place. I want them to be able to engage with the guest, and that's one of the problems here in Hong Kong, is having staff that are confident in chatting with the guests, and especially, I'd say, in English. It becomes a little bit tricky. So that's what we look for, basically, having the right attitude, right approach, and also the passion in what we do. So whoever comes to Koa, first, they need to have the passion to learn about something new, right? Maybe not necessarily, I'm not going to expect that they love agave spirit as I do, but at least they have the passion to learn something new. And then along the way, who knows? I mean, now if you ask my staff what's their favorite spirit, they will tell you it's tequila and mezcal. But when they first joined,
You're doing God's work, my friend. God's work.
but in the beginning, it wasn't, right? It wasn't. But I think that's something I'm not going to expect them to like in the first place. But at least they have the passion to learn something different, something new, and they know they're coming into a new challenge right now. And a lot of the thing that we do in the bar is through engaging with the guests, explaining what we do. We do a lot of explaining. Of course, we keep it nice and short. We don't want to bore the guests. Like, we do whatever we present to them, the cocktails or the spirits, we actually, make sure that they understand what they're drinking. And on the other hand, we do like mezcal flights on the menu as well, but we actually sit down with the guests for 15 minutes, no matter how busy the bar is. We sit down with them and go through the flight so they understand what they're drinking.
Whoa.
So it's not like drinking, gin or whiskey. It's something I think most people have the basic understanding. Agave spirit, tequila, maybe, but when it comes to like mezcal and raicilla, like all those products, people don't know what it is. Mezcal, yes, but then when you come to like other stuff, other spirits from Mexico, it becomes really tricky, right? So our job is to make sure that we sit down with the guest, and most of the guests who orders the flight, they expect that we actually sit down with them, because we've been doing that for the past 4 years, and this is what they want to experience. So it's completely okay, for us to like spend like 15 minutes on the table with the guests and explain each and every bottle, and also some basic production process behind, how they were made and what are the differences between them. And they enjoy it, and that's why they come to Koa, is to learn more about agave spirits in the end of the day.
And then now I'm going to ask you about the sourcing. How difficult is it to source tequila and mezcal? I mean, are a lot of these products even being imported on scale, or do you work with mostly boutique importers?
It's a great question, man. Like, agave spirit is definitely one of the hardest spirits to get into Hong Kong. And the reason to that is because a lot of the bartenders, they only stock maybe 1 or 2 bottles behind the bar.
Yeah.
And when you have this problem, the distributors are not going to get the product in. And that's a huge problem. And we're lucky, like when we first opened, we had a distribution company called Proven Company. They actually had...
Great guys. By the way, everybody, we just had Jason Williams on a couple weeks back. Check that episode out.
Yes, Jason, yeah. So,
had to plug that, man. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so they had a good amount of agave spirits back in 2017. I mean, now not so much. They're focusing on other things now. But in 2017, they had like a quite a nice list of agave spirits, and it really got it started. And of course, I had a lot of products that I hand carried myself, and there were a few other distributors. They had some good stuff, and then I just put a list together. We had, I think when we opened, we had like 120 different bottles. Which was not too shabby for Hong Kong, like considering the location of Hong Kong and the difficulties we have in bringing agave spirit. But also the agave spirits that we focus on is mainly small batch, family owned. We try not to...
Oh man, that must be really hard.
It is. We're not selling too many of the big brands. Nothing against those brands. We love big brands as well. For example, like what Patron is doing, it's amazing. And we have Patron in the bar. But the thing is, our focus is mainly for the guests to try something they haven't tried, right? And also just support like small batch products, small producers that maybe, deserve the same sort of attention. And that's our main focus, basically. And it becomes tricky. But now, we talk to distributors and have them bring in, and then make sure that we're able to use those products. So we we have, like partnership with different distributors, and then they bring in the stuff that we want. Yeah. So along the way, the past 4 years, there are many, many new brands that are coming into Hong Kong. But again, it's nothing compared to, let's say, what you have in the US. It's still a challenge, and it will be for many years, but it's fun. And now it becomes a little bit even more difficult because I can't travel to Mexico, and I can't bring in the stuff that I want.
Whoa.
But I'm relying mostly on some of the distributors that we are working with and have them, bring in what we want.
Hey, any of you out there listening, if you got a trip to Hong Kong anytime soon, or even not anytime soon, bring Jay a bottle of some good tequila or mezcal, and maybe he'll buy you a plate of tacos and a margarita. Just saying.
Yes.
But that must be so stress-inducing, knowing that if you're going to put like a cocktail on the menu, you're not sure how long you're going to be able to get that product in.
Yes. So the most of the cocktails that we have on the menu, we're using spirits that are consistently available.
Okay.
In Hong Kong. So we're not using some of the products that, we might only have 6 bottles in Hong Kong, and those we just keep it for tasting.
Yeah. That stresses me out. Just hearing you say that stresses me out.
Yeah. Like I said, it's difficult, but at the same time, it is also fun because this is what we specialize, and it makes it more interesting if we tell the guests like, oh, this one we only have maybe like 5 bottles or 4 bottles left. And the guests are intrigued and they want to try those products. So it's a challenge, but at the same time, there's always, silver lining, and, people, they want to try different things. Yeah. So the cocktail part, I mean, it's the easiest part for us because we use spirits that are already available in Hong Kong. For example, Ocho tequila, it's widely available here in Hong Kong.
I love it.
We have Tapatio, which came in 2 years ago, again, through, the distributors are asking us like, what to bring in, like what are the products that you think are going to sell in Hong Kong. And of course, our goal is to make sure we bring in products that are great. And brands like Tapatio, Arete, and then Origen Raiz Mezcal, for example, like these products are what's super great, but they weren't available here in Hong Kong. And the distributors trust us because this is what we specialize in.
That's great.
And we also make sure that the stuff that they bring in, and we're there to support them as well. Because in the end of the day, if we don't support them, they're not going to bring more stuff.
Yeah.
So it becomes stressful in a way. But like I said, man, everything we do in the bar, it's eventually, it's a fun thing for us as well. And now there are some new products coming in. Yeah, so it's a process. It's a process. The products comes and goes. Like. Sometimes, they run out, they bring in new stuff, and they always reserve products for us as well.
I think that's beautiful. I just love what you're doing. Honestly, it makes me so happy to hear that the agave love and the Mexican culture is being propagated around the world. And on that topic, in regards to the food, are people digging it? Is that something that they're understanding in regards to flavor?
Well, in Hong Kong, when it comes to Mexican food, it's really hard to satisfy people because everybody has so many opinions about Mexican food.
I know.
And even for people who've never been to Mexico, that's funny, right? Like every time when there's a new Mexican place opens in Hong Kong, like a restaurant, people are going to be skeptical. People are going to say like, oh, this is not a good Mexican food. But then when I go there and when I try those food, I'm like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I've been to Mexico so many times. I think it's just the expectations people have about Mexican food. It's just, I don't know what they want, what they're expecting. Yes, Mexican food in Hong Kong are expensive, are very expensive. But to me, there's a few places that you can go to in Hong Kong and they're amazing. But even those places, you will have people telling you that they didn't have a good experience or the food wasn't great. But I don't know, man, like it's very skeptical. People are very judgy about Mexican food here in Hong Kong. So what we do in our bar, I mean, we specialize mainly in drinks, but we do have, a few bar snacks that we do. But we want to keep it simple, and fresh. And those are not why people come to Koa anyway. I mean, if they're hungry, at least they can get a bite, So we want to have food in the bar, but we don't want to specialize in food. So we have guacamole, which we make fresh upon order. And then we have quesadilla. And then we have a pico de gallo we make ourselves. And that's it. We just have these two snacks in the bar. That's it, bro.
Those are crowd pleasers.
We don't have a chef. We do everything ourselves. So again, I mean, I can't have an extensive food menu unless I hire a chef to do it for me. And we never have this, urgency to actually hire a chef to do like food menu. I mean,
Well,
sometimes we do. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Right now, I got a big old pot of pozole cooking in my kitchen. Next time I
Nice.
come out, I'm gonna make some pozole for everybody.
Awesome, brother.
do you have a big pot for everybody for me to make a big stew in?
We can arrange.
I'll make my mom's recipe. Well, I tweak it a little bit. I
Awesome.
took my mom's recipe, but then I pumped up the garlic and the onion because
Nice.
my mom, she's a little more
I love
timid
it.
about those
Yeah.
flavors.
I love both of these ingredients. They're amazing.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, in the end of the day, we want to keep everything, approachable and simple. And we want people to come in for the drinks, but not really for the food. But we also want to have food if they want food.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we want to keep it short and simple.
Yeah, you know what? Just having those three items on the menu is really all anybody needs. Especially if you're going for a more kind of streamlined service. Do you have chips?
Yeah, we
Oh,
have
okay.
we don't have like fries, but we have
Oh, sorry, I meant like tortilla chips.
oh yeah we have of course we have tortilla chips and we also give complimentary chips to the guests upon arrival as well. So I mean they always have
Move.
something to eat.
It's a
They
good move
always have
because
something to
it
eat.
makes people thirsty.
Absolutely. Thirsty, but also, it's just fun, when you're in a bar and then you have like a complimentary bowl of snack that you can just munch on while you're drinking. It just makes it more playful and fun at the same time.
I love it, man. I love it. Okay, we're going to keep talking about this stuff, but we're going to wrap up this episode. It's coming to a close. However, I am going to bring you back for a bonus episode of Bartender at Large Plus, a show that we do every week specifically for all of our Patreon followers. And there, we're going to talk more about your time in Hong Kong. We're going to talk more about tequila, spirits, your amazing bar. If anybody out there wants to tune in for that episode, you can go to patreon.com/bartender at large. While I'm on the topic of Patreon, I want to say thank you to a few of our supporters by name. Those supporters are Jeff Cooley, Evan Rosenthal, and Paul Hammond. Jay, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you coming to hang out. If anybody had a question for you or want to learn more about your bar, what's the best place for them to reach you?
Instagram. I'm the most active on Instagram. You can send me a message on my personal handle, which is JAYKHAN313, JKhan313. That's where you can get in touch with me.
And he's being bashful. He's being a little shy. His bar has an amazing Instagram. You should follow the bar as well. It's Goa Hong Kong, COA Hong Kong. There's a bunch of beautiful photos of cocktails, drinks, the bar, what have you. I recommend it. And while you're on Instagram, you can follow at Bartender at Large and me, your humble host at Hungry Bartender. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show while also receiving all kinds of great perks, you should consider joining us on Patreon. You can become a supporter for as little as $1, and the top tier itself is capped at only $5. So even if you wanted to give more, we don't even allow it. We're doing this because we know firsthand that times are tough financially for those in the hospitality field, and we don't want anyone to feel like they have to break the bank in order to support the show or get access to all the channel's benefits. These benefits include everything from early access to the show, weekly bonus episodes, monthly Zoom hangouts, exclusive programming, and a whole bunch of other stuff. To learn more about how to get involved, head on over to patreon.com/bartender at large to learn more. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed the show.